So because Siege's servers are really bad right now, I was unable to play Siege, so I spent a lot of my Christmas break playing the AI playlists and Operation Throwback. After sinking several hours into Defender AI, I've come to the conclusion that Ubisoft has been lying to us the entire time when it comes to the AI. If you haven't heard, the whole reason Terrorist Hunt was removed from Siege was because Ubisoft wanted to implement machine learning AI. First, that's an endeavor for sure, but second, they very clearly never did that. And third, their argument was they can't have two separate AIs in the game because that'll cause issues with the game. This is blatantly false because Operation Chimera and the Outbreak event happened, which had two separate AIs, one for the terrorists and one for the Archaeans, working in the game perfectly fine. But okay, fine, I can concede that a limited time event having its own rules and AI scripts might have been an exception to the rule. Fine, fair enough. I would believe this if I hadn't been playing older versions of Siege. And I can say, after having played both old and modern Siege for several days in a row over the break, that the AI in Defender AI is no more impressive nor intelligent than the AI that launched with Siege. So first let's take a look at the AI in 1.0 Siege. How does this AI operate? It's separated into 6 different categories: Roamer, Ambusher, Engineer, Bomber, Assaulter, and Point Man. It's possible there might be another class, but I'm not sure. Roamers did exactly as they sounded. They wandered around the map on set patrol points. Ambushers were also self-explanatory. They'd put down deployable shields and hide behind them. Engineers were a little different, and not a lot of people knew about them. Similar in appearance to the ambushers, they would reinforce walls, barricade doors, and place down nitro cells or barbed wire. It's important to note that the nitro cells and barbed wire they would place down was different from the rooms that housed barbed wire and hallways filled with nitro cells. Those were pre-placed depending on the map. Bombers were a mixed class, a mix between roamers and assaulters. Assaulters and point men were exclusive to when you played on defense or bomb missions. Point men used riot shields while assaulters just used guns. They're not relevant to the rest of our conversation except for one more mention. The 3 classes on defense, Ambusher, Roamer, and Engineer, were given a simple but effective AI. As I already mentioned, they could place shields, barbed wire, and nitro cells, and were also armed with flash or frag grenades. So we already have AI characters that are allowed to use equipment. The Bomber technically has a gadget, that being his bomb. And the attackers, the point men and assaulter, who would also spawn on the bomb modes, also had a gadget they could use: Thermite's exothermic charge, which was simply because at the time there was no other hard breach charge. They could also use smoke grenades. In fact, this is the only reason the dummies in the Defender tutorial used the exothermic charge in the first place, because they already had that AI programmed to use the charge. So, we have AI characters that can use equipment and gadgets. They were just limited on the type of equipment and gadgets they could use. At no point were they ever updated on their loadouts. If anything, they were downgraded and had their loadouts more limited. By the time Heavy Metal was out, they could, at most, use breach charges, flashbangs, wall and door reinforcements, smoke grenades, and shields, versus when they could use barbed wire, nitro cells, wall and door reinforcements, frag grenades, smoke, and flashbangs, breach charges, shields, and hard breach charges, and of course, the Bomber's bomb. It's about 11 different pieces of equipment then, versus the 6 they ended up still being able to use. We can even see in the Defender tutorial the AI using EMP grenades, and on the attacking tutorial the AI placing a mute jammer. So clearly the AI could, at all times, be able to use these pieces of equipment, they just were never allowed to. Which brings me to the Defender AI playlist. Now, it's impossible to see exactly what they do as soon as the match starts, but we can hear them reinforcing the area. The AI currently, however, does not seem to be any more or less intelligent than what we've had before. Signal jammers, EDDs, shockwire, black eyes, and smoke canisters are not at all that different from what they could place before. The smoke canisters act like nitro cells, the mute jammers were able to be placed in the tutorials. I've never even seen the AI use the black eyes, though they can use cameras. I've just never seen them use the placed ones, and the shock wire is similar to the barbed wire. The AI isn't necessarily smarter because it can place these things, it's just told where it can place them. In fact, it spends most of its time placing them in the same places each game. Capcom, for example, is simply told to place 2 EDDs per door or window until he's out. Mute is pinged to place jammers at certain points. Bandit's a little different, we'll talk about him in a minute. I have noticed that they just place the things in the same spots, not unlike how they would place things in situations. Unlike situations, however, they have multiple spawn points depending on the bomb site. but each site they have pre-placed locations that they go to place their equipment. At least from what I've seen. I could be wrong on that. Now, I know someone's gonna say, but they can also make rotate holes. Which is, okay, fine, I guess they can, but I don't see them ever utilize them. I've yet to see the AI actually go through a rotate hole. I usually just see them run through the hallways, so I was curious if this actually had something to do with how wall damage is programmed. And to no one's surprise, I noticed the AI ignored damage done to the walls. Now granted, I only checked this on 1.0 Siege, but that was mostly just due to it being much easier to control the AI here. I could not die, so I could test this better, versus what Heavy Metal Siege has on offer, where I would very much die trying to test this. I could be wrong. Maybe they have updated the AI to use rotate holes in walls even before Terrorist Hunt's removal, but I've never seen them use holes in walls I've shotgunned, nor have I seen the new AI use holes it has shotgunned. Again, I could be wrong, but the only time I've seen holes in walls used by the AI is when it's been blown up with a breach charge of some sort. So my guess is they're programmed to climb through them when the wall is destroyed and the wall creates a ping or variable or something that says breach charge used or something like that. So just because they can create rotate holes does not tell me they're smarter than before if they don't use the holes to save some time. It's entirely possible they do, don't get me wrong. I've just never seen them do that, and since I can't go into spectator mode for this mode, I can't see them the second they spawn in and see if they do use the rotate hole. Now let's get back to Bandit real fast. I know I said his shockwire is somewhat different than how the other AI places their traps, and that's because of one small thing. Sound. The AI could always detect sound cues. If they heard you repelling, they'd comment. If they heard you were behind a soft wall, they'd start shooting that wall. It was, however, once again, very limited. This was mostly a balancing issue. Sure, the AI would hear you if you were making a lot of noise behind the door, but I don't think they could hear you putting a breach charge on the door. They just heard you behind the door. I could be wrong on this too, however. Bandit, and by extension Smoke, and I think Mute, could hear some other sound cues, mainly the sounds made when charges were equipped. In Bandit's case, he'd stand by some reinforced walls to trick you if you decided to hard breach that wall. Smoke and Mute, not so much anymore, but at launch would throw their canister and nitro cell at the wall if they heard a breach charge equipped. I think they still do this on soft walls, but I haven't seen it, but I know they would on reinforced walls at launch. This has been fixed. Now, this is something the old AI didn't do, but this was mostly because, with the exception of nitro cells, they didn't have that, and they would throw the nitro cells at the start of the round to make a choke point. All things considered, it's not the craziest thing I've seen the bots do. It's smart, but it's smart in the sense it reacts to a specific sound cue. You can actually bait the AI with the diffuser as they still rush you when you're planting it one at a time. Now, don't get me wrong, it's cool to see them do this, but it's not that impressive. They're just reacting to sound like how the old AI used to react to certain sounds. They just are allowed to use different tools to react to that sound. The core base AI is not all that different. It still behaves in much the same way as the old AI. And yes, I know some have noticed this, but yes, I am playing on the easy difficulty. Why? Well, that brings me nicely into my next point, actually. The AI uses the exact same AI for both difficulties. It doesn't get smarter, it simply changes priorities on the harder mode. On easy, they ignore drones for the most part. On hard, they stop what they're doing to shoot the drones. Now, I have to be honest, I don't have as much testing time against the hard AI on Modern Siege, because it's one of the most unfair and unbalanced AIs I have ever seen in a game. It doesn't have faster reaction time to seeing you, it still has a second hesitation. What it does have is it has aimbot. If you do not kill the AI first, it will always lock onto your head and just one-tap you. Just like the old AI, however, not 1.0 AI, but instead Heavy Metal AI. They even mag dump after killing you. This is the exact same thing, except this time the AI doesn't have nerfs on its weapon damage like it did for Terrorist Hunt. Now, for all the issues Heavy Metal AI had, it having these nerfs on weapon damage was a good thing, because even though it could aimbot and track you through walls, it wasn't able to instantly kill you. Hard AI on Defender AI playlists is not that impressive. It actually feels untested, much like Ready or Not's AI, and that's a bad thing, mind you. I'll be honest, I have not beaten the hard AI solo. Not on Deep Freeze, not on Heavy Metal, and not on 1.0. I've not beaten the hard AI on solo, and that's okay, because Deep Freeze's AI, much like all other AIs, is next to impossible solo. However, the difference between 1.0 Hard's AI and Modern Siege's AI is that 1.0 AI got smarter. It could hear different sound cues and reacted faster. I think it was also more accurate. Deep Freeze's AI is just an aimbot, and they even say that on the difficulty select screen. So thanks, Ubisoft. Now I know what you're thinking. It's machine learning AI. It'll be updated. I don't believe that. Because everything I have seen, the footage I've compared, while it's somewhat different, it's not really different. This is the 2015 launch AI, and this is the 2023 Deep Freeze AI on Easy. It does not feel different. And because I know you'll ask, here's 1.0 Siege Hard AI and Deep Freeze Hard AI.
Move to its location and plant the diffuser.
Down! Grenade!
We have been eliminated. Bomb has been located.
But even if it is different, their argument of only one type of AI still fails because the dummies exist. Now, like it or not, the dummies have AI. Even though it's not a good example of AI, in all three modes it appears in, it has AI. Yes, even shooting range. It's incredibly scripted and limited to what it can do, but it has AI nonetheless. Look, watch this clip of the AI looking at the Argus camera when I fire. Like it or not, that's AI. They don't do this when they're set to stationary. They act exactly like this guy, but that doesn't change the fact that there is AI in the dummies. Even the attacking AI in the tutorials is no different than the AI in 1.0 Siege at all. Look at this.
Keep an eye on the dial.
Here for some more!
Careful when going outside as a defender. Attackers will be able to see your location until you
Your
get
location
inside.
has been compromised.
They're changing bags!
Cover!
So, okay, fine. Maybe I can believe that the Defender AI playlist is a completely different, brand new AI script. And I can even maybe believe that the AI can only work on one map because of pathfinding conflictions or whatever. But that's not even true either, because I can play Clubhouse against the dummies. So that argument doesn't work either, because there is very clearly two separate AIs at play here. Even the stationary dummies aren't even a unique idea, since the first enemy you'd ever fight in Siege, the very first AI terrorist, was also a stationary enemy and didn't move.
Enemies in range!
Now, I know this is going to sound like I hate the new AI playlists, but I don't. I think Defender AI has a lot of potential. I'm upset at the blatant lies Ubisoft has made about the AI in this game. This AI is not unique. It doesn't do anything new. With maybe the possible exception of rotate holes, there's really not anything this AI does that it couldn't do before. And as a result, we just have less PvE content that lacks a lot of the fun the old PvE content had. I'm very curious to see if they will update the attacking AI that's due to come next season, but I'm not holding my breath on that. And I'd also be very curious to see if the Defender AI gets touched up on at all. Look, there's a lot of potential here. It took forever, but we finally have AI bots in a Rainbow Six game that play the same multiplayer objectives, which is cool. None of the other Rainbow Six games had AI that could play multiplayer modes. It only had Terrorist Hunt and Campaign AI, which was awesome, but I always longed to be able to play the other multiplayer modes against bots too. There is potential in these modes, but I don't think Ubisoft realizes how much potential there is. And when they're lying to us, the players, about their justification for removing features of the game for less content, any promises they make just sound empty.